Good morning to those on the line. My name is Melina Corona, and I work for Build It Green. I'm joined by my colleague Torsten Glidden here at Build It Green, and we're going to walk you through the Energy Upgrade California Home Upgrade Program. This is a presentation for ongoing participants interested in the Home Upgrade Program. We will be starting shortly. We're going to wait a little while until more people join, so please stay tuned. We'll start in a few moments. Good morning, everyone. My name is Melina Corona, and I'm here with my colleague Torsten Glidden. We're from Build It Green, and we will be presenting today on the Energy Upgrade California Home Upgrade Program for ongoing participants. We will be starting shortly. Thank you very much for joining us. Please stay tuned. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the Energy Upgrade California Home Upgrade webinar for ongoing program participants. My name is Melina Corona. I work for Build It Green, and I will be helping my colleague Torsten Glidden present the Energy Upgrade California webinar. Torsten, go ahead and begin if you don't have any further announcements.
Thanks, Melina. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So again, as Melina suggested, this webinar is an introduction to the new home upgrade pathway within Energy Upgrade California, and it is specifically for ongoing, currently enrolled and approved participants. There will be another webinar actually later today for prospective enrollees that is called the participation webinar, which I believe starts at, what, 3
o'clock.
2 o'clock. But for those of you on this webinar, you should already be enrolled and approved in the program. And with that, I will get started.
And just before you get started, President, I just wanted to say to those people on the line, this webinar is being recorded, and the slides as well as the link to the recording will be emailed out to anyone on the line. And we should be able to get that email out before the end of the day Thursday. Our contact information will be up at the end of the webinar if you have further questions.
Okay, so the agenda for the webinar is a brief update on Advanced Home Upgrade, which was formerly Advanced Package within the Whole House Rebate Program. Home Upgrade, which was formerly Basic Package within the Whole House Rebate Program. Program design, job submission details, and questions and comments at the end. You're welcome to type your questions as we go, and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. So, brief overview, just a program update on Advanced Home Upgrade, which again was formerly Advanced Package under Whole House Rebate Program. So, it is now called Advanced Home Upgrade. There are no changes to the current advanced pathway and process. So, those of you who've been participating in the Advanced Package job submission, there are no changes in that rebate pathway at all. It's just a name change. So, and it remains the only advanced energy modeling-based program in PG&E service territory for PG&E supplied fuels, gas and/or electric. Program coordination and incentive agreements in overlapping service territories, such as SMUD and SoCalGas, remain the same going forward. And all current marketing materials can still be used, but just please update them when you have a chance with Advanced Home Upgrade whenever you're reprinting or creating new material for marketing your business. So that was brief for Advanced Home Upgrade. This is Home Upgrade, formerly Basic Package, which is the main reason for the introductory webinar because it's where most of the changes are. Program requirements. So as far as enrollment goes, no new enrollment qualification requirements for approved ongoing program participants except for attending this webinar. You are essentially grandfathered in to the Home Upgrade program. You would, at your enrollment anniversary, however, sign an updated participant agreement, which will have the new name of the program, new names for exhibits within the contract or agreement, and a rep and warrant background check requirement that is new to that the new program, or sorry, participation agreements. Home Upgrade testing requirements. They will be a test-in and test-out diagnostic testing scenario appropriate to the measure and scope. So if you have within your selected measures something, or duct sealing, you would then be required to do a duct blaster diagnostic. If you had air sealing within your selected base measures, you would then be required to do a blower door test. But you're not required, as with Advanced Home Upgrade, to do both duct blaster and blower door for every test in and test out. What you are required to do for every test in and test out still is combustion appliance safety. So again, the BPI certified professional performing the combustion appliance safety testing does so at test in and test out. And they would, of course, have to have had the PG&E Advanced Technical Training, which is a one-day course offered typically at Stockton or sometimes in other locations near the Bay Area. Quality assurance and quality control. So the contractor training on installation specifications is going to be moved into a training course or a class called Home Upgrade Core Training. And there will be supplemental technical trainings on things like duct leakage and advanced combustion appliance safety, hands-on trainings, worst case, etc. Stay tuned for event dates for those. They, as always, can be located on our website at buildaggreenutility.org. There will be 100% application QA desktop review for completed upgrades, in which we'll compare the measures with CAS data. Contractor and customer will be checked to make sure they meet program requirements, and we'll validate program documentation as well. We'll get into that, the details of that a little bit further down the slide presentation. Tiered and sampling based in-field quality control will still be the norm, very similar to what we do for advanced home upgrade right now, or what was advanced package under whole house rebate program. And in-field mentoring sessions may be paired with test out. They can also actually be scheduled anytime. They could theoretically be scheduled with a test in if you want, but the best thing to do would be to contact Build It Green with as much advance notice prior to that either test out or test in event, and get something scheduled for an in-field mentoring session. We want to emphasize that that is a service that we offer. There are currently 5 free available mentoring sessions, so we encourage you to take advantage of those and get something scheduled. Customer eligibility. So again, this is a single family detached home program. There are no 2 to 4 unit buildings in the program. That is consistent with what the basic package required. If you have a 2 to 4 unit building, you're going to want to use the advanced pathway. The property owner does not need to reside in the home, as with the previous iteration of the program. They can be a renter, for instance, and ratepayer, and that's a very typical configuration. If for some reason it's negotiated that the homeowner is paying for it, even the renter is the ratepayer, then you would want to get a rebate reassignment form signed and filled out by both parties so that the rebate can be assigned to the correct person. The home has to receive gas and or electric service from PG&E, and they, in this particular case, is what's unique to the home upgrade program in its new form. This would be outside the 9 Bay Area counties when you submit to Build It Green. If you are within the 9 Bay Area counties, you would submit to the BAREN, Bay Area Regional Energy Network. But anything within the Bay Area 9 counties for advanced still goes to Build It Green. So it's a little complex in the sense that you now have another player to look to send in your applications to within the 9 Bay Area counties if you're performing what was basic and now called home upgrade. But outside of those 9 Bay Area counties, you would still be submitting your application to Build It Green. And again, no propane fueling, water heating, or space heating would be allowed in the program at this time. Participating contractors must perform the upgrade. Any work on the project must be performed by a participating contractor. And we need to make sure that you obtain all required local, state, and or federal permits, meet requirements along those lines as well. Nothing has really changed in that regard. The big change really is that the territory is separate for submissions to home upgrade based on whether you're in the 9 Bay Area counties or not. Program design under home upgrade. So initial measure selection, it was designed to be based on the most commonly installed measures in the program to date. There's a lot of advanced home upgrade information that went into designing and discerning that. The measures list may be adjusted and expanded in the future, so stay tuned for improvements to the number of measures that are selectable. And the tiered incentives were designed to drive comprehensive retrofits while still allowing for entry-level installation. So it's really designed to focus on, those situations where you've got your foot in the door as a HVAC contractor, for instance. You're doing some servicing or an HVAC change-out already, and the homeowner has other, energy upgrade opportunities within their home that you've identified, and you can now get them a rebate for doing a little bit extra work, which may, in some cases, pay for most of that work. It's in many of these situations, you'd be leaving. The homeowner would be leaving money on the table if they didn't take advantage of the home upgrade program. Same would go for if you're in a house to do change out a water heater, for instance, if you're a plumbing contractor, so on. and so forth. So it's really meant to open up opportunities and be a more streamlined process and a little quicker adoption, a little easier to adopt for the average contractor. And incentives are based on average savings percentage by measure. This was taken a look at on a statewide basis and deemed savings developed on average savings statewide for average homes. Within the program, you must install at least 3 measures, including 1 base measure. The upgrades must equal 100 points or more to qualify for a $1,000 rebate. And then you get an additional $500 for your client for each additional 50 points on up to $2,500 for 250 points. And then again, additional points may be added regionally somewhere down the line in the future. That is something that IOUs are looking at. It is not currently the situation within the program, but is something that you want to stay tuned for. So that, in essence, selecting a certain measure within a certain region or climate zone would generate some additional points potentially based on the sort of bigger impact selecting that would have. Here's the first part of the list of home upgrade measures. The base measures, you again must select 1 or more to be eligible. You have essentially 3 base measures with 2 different choices for the first 2. So for duct sealing or duct replacement, in essence, duct sealing would be sealing existing, duct replacement would be replacing and sealing new. For duct sealing the existing, you must get it down to 10% or less leakage, and that's what, again, would require a duct blaster test. That gets you 15 points. Duct replacement, replacing the system, so installing a new duct system, you must seal that down to 6% or less leakage, and that gets you 25 points. There are 2 whole building air sealing choices, either getting it down to 15%, reducing by 15% or more. Up to 15% gets you 15 points. Reducing down to 30% gets you 30 points, and that's all based on vintage default table 4.9 SLI leakage area for the average home based on CEC data. Then the third of the base measures, third different type of base measure, is the attic insulation and air sealing. And within climate zones, let's see, within PG&E territory, it would be climate zones 2 through 5. You're required to install at least R30 or better. And then within climate zones 1 and 11 through 16, it would be R38 or better. And that will get you 25 points for either of those, depending on applying the correct level of insulation to the correct climate zone. In addition to those base measures, there are essentially bonus points, what they're calling base measure kickers, for selecting additional base measures. So you're required to select 1 base measure, but if you select more than 1, you get additional points for doing so. So if, for instance, you selected the whole building air sealing at 30% leakage or better, or up to 30% leakage, you would get 30 points. And if you selected duct sealing as well, down to 10% leakage of existing, you get another 15 points, which you get 45 for. But because you selected 2, you now get an extra 15 points, which gets you to 60. So it gets you closer to reaching that 100-point minimum threshold as you select additional base measures. Here are the flex measures. This is the second part of the list. These are typically the reasons why you get your foot in the door with a client. You're changing out a water heater, you're changing out a furnace or an air conditioner. And then, so they are part of the building your package, but you're also able to get them a rebate based on selecting at least 1 base measure and potentially more. On the list, of course, also are wall insulation, floor insulation, duct insulation, and The one caveat to this particular list is that this is a statewide list, and within PG&E service territory, where the red star is right here, that level of efficiency factor water heater, gas storage water heater, is not rebatable under PG&E service territory. So if you were doing a gas storage water heater in PG&E service territory, you got to start at efficiency factor 0.67 or greater. Outside of PG&E service territory or within the BayREN, that remains to be seen, that they may accept the 0.62, but just something to keep in mind for PG&E submittals. You got to select a gas storage water heater 0.67 efficiency factor or greater. And here's some sample home upgrade packages. For instance, similar to the one I just talked about while going through the list, if you did a typical heating package, you'd have a furnace, 92% AFU or better, duct sealing down to 10% for existing ducts, and whole building air sealing at a 30% reduction, or up to a 30% reduction, would net you, let's see, that's 60, that's 80, that's 90 points. But then because you selected a second base measure within that package, you get over the top at 105 points because you get that extra 15 base measure kicker. A typical cooling package might look like this. Air conditioner with 14 SEER and 12 EAR or better gets you 10 points. The attic insulation and air sealing, selecting that base measure as the first base measure to R38. In that particular, if that particular climate zone warrants it, gets you 25 points. And then pairing with that the other two base measures, and you have a choice of what to do for duct sealing, for instance, and whole building air sealing as far as your reduction goes. But you get an extra 15 points for both of those. But then because you've done two additional base measure kickers, you get the second base measure kicker, which is 15 points, and the third base measure kicker, which is 20 points, which totals 35 points for both of them. So you would then add that on top of what your regular measures were, and that gets you over 100 points as well into a $1,000 rebate. Here's a comparison of the incentive levels. So on the left side, you see home upgrade, which tops out at 250 points and $2,500, and that, as it compares, essentially covers the first half of what's covered by advanced home upgrade, which is, still a valid thing to push homeowners into if they're interested in the higher rebate, and the slightly more document reliant submission process. So you go through a two-step process with advanced home upgrade. For those of you who have already done it, you're familiar with it, where you do a pre-installation application, you receive notice to proceed, and then you do a post-installation application. Well, with home upgrade, you only do a post-installation application. You're required to do the test in and test out, combustion appliance safety and diagnostic testing if required. But as long as you're constructing your points measure scope of work in such a way that it fits into those laid out in those tables, you are able to actually make the submission for the application after you've done your work. So it is a post-installation application only. It does get reviewed there, and you will submit combustion appliance safety test measurements forms for both test in and test out at the post-installation submittal, but you get essentially half the number of reviews because you're able to submit at the post-installation point. And there's no energy modeling with home upgrade. Again, those are the deemed savings generated, averaged measures across the state generated these points, which again they take the place of energy modeling. Potential improvements for the future: expansion of measure selection, so adding things like higher tiers for furnaces, for different types of furnaces, or different efficiencies of furnaces and air conditioning, and then also for different levels beyond R38 of attic insulation. And then potentially adding windows, heat pumps, and other measures within the list of points assigned value measures that you can select. Allowing the customer to sign over the incentive of the contractors is something that's we're hearing is coming down the road. And allowing customers with propane appliances potentially to participate, so long as the key appliances that are being replaced are supplied by a fuel supplied by PG&E. And then also the joint program with SoCalGas for home upgrade. These things are coming down the road, so stay tuned for details on that. And again, the best place to look for that is the builditgreenutility.org website. Transition timeline, so June 17th, yesterday, we have begun the process of working with contractors selected on the basis of their willingness to test and provide feedback for us with regard to the new user interface for Home Upgrade Portal. We're interested in hearing from more contractors about that. So if you've attended this webinar, you're here to give us a call and receive your login information and begin working with the Home Upgrade Portal. And as long as you can provide us with some feedback and you allow us to assess, your testing events, we are happy to work with you and get you started right away. All contractors may begin submitting by July 1st, and that is, again, upon receipt of a Home Upgrade Portal login email that gives you the ability to begin the process, use your user ID, and get a password assigned. By July 15th, we expect to have all whole house rebate program basic package submittals completed. So we want to make sure that everyone submits their basic package, any basic package jobs they have in the pipeline as soon as possible, so that we can get anything that needs to be into the post-installation stage and ready for approval by July 15th. So if you don't think you are going to be able to meet that time frame because you have some basic package projects that are, sort of haven't been completely sold yet, but you think the client is going to go, definitely make sure you contact Build It Green, and we'll work with you on planning out the timing on that, because by July 15th we expect to have all basic package jobs completed and processed through Compass. Job submission under Home Upgrade. So here is a brief overview of the two user upgrade interfaces. Home Upgrade user interfaces. Advanced Home Upgrade still goes to Green Energy Compass, and there's the URL. Home Upgrade will go to the following URL, and there's a little image of the portal you'll see when you get there. You'll enter your username supplied by email from Build It Green, and you'll enter your temporary password. Once you log in, it'll prompt you to set a permanent password, and then you are in and ready to go. Here's another way to get to those portals. So for Home Upgrade, there will be a button on builditgreenutility.org. On the right side, some of you are familiar with these buttons already. There's a column with these rather large buttons that get you to various places. The All Contractors and All Raters gets you to, if you are a new prospective enrollee, gets you to the enrollment websites. The Home Upgrade button will get you to the Home Upgrade portal, and the Advanced Home Upgrade button will get you to Green Energy Compass, which is where you submit still the Advanced Home Upgrade jobs. Here's a larger image of what the portal user login panel looks like. And when you first log in through the portal, you'll actually be prompted, you'll be sent to a screen that prompts you to set your default program. So if you happen to be, as some of you are, participants within both the PG&E AC Quality Care Program and the Home Upgrade Program, you can select to go to one or the other initially. It doesn't preclude you from going to one or the other later on. And there'll actually be a button in the upper right-hand corner of your web page that allows you to switch between the two. So you only have to log in once to access both programs if you are an approved contractor for both of those programs. If you're not, you won't see this choice. You'll just go straight to whichever program you are actually approved for. So this is for the program participants that are eligible or approved for both Home Upgrade and AC Quality Care at this time. Once you're in, if you're new to the portal, you wouldn't have this list of projects already, but you would begin by an upper left-hand panel at the top, selecting building. I believe it takes you there initially anyway. So you would add a building, and once you add a building, you will give it a building name, which could be the homeowner's name and residence, so like Brown residence or Davis residence or what have you. It's whatever you want to enter to help organize your list and track jobs within it. It's something that is set by the user to by the contractor to help identify readily what project they're looking at when they're looking at that building name. And then the street address, city, California is preset because this is only a California-wide program at the moment. And probably for the foreseeable future, and the zip code. The building type, the only current selection is single-family detached, so you would select that and click Save. It brings you to this screen, so you'll see on the left side under the main title buttons, you've got the information you just entered in the building data. You can edit it after the fact if you need to, but the next step would be to go to the additional building information and then on to property owner information and on to utility information, and we'll walk you through that process as well. So additional building information, when you open that, so on the left or the right side there you see little pencil icons. That's an edit icon. You select that, get into your subpanel, which is, in this case, the first one is additional building information. You would enter as many of the fields as you have information for. Many of them are required, and there will be asterisks there to prompt you that that is indeed a required field. There, a little red note will come up if you didn't enter information that was required. Click Save to continue, and then fill out the property owner information screen. This is actually, so in essence, it's the customer information. It may or may not be the property owner. So there's also a little button there underneath where the address fills out that allows you to fill out another address for mailing to, say, for instance, the property owner if they're the one getting the rebate. You have data entry fields for the utility account information. So you would select an electric provider, and in most cases that'll be PG&E. In SMUD territory it would be SMUD, and that is one of the menu items. Enter an electric service ID, so that 10-digit service meter identification number that is contained within the body of a homeowner customer's bill, not the account number. That's something we constantly need to remind people of. We don't want the account number. That's the number at the top of the bill. We want the number of service assigned to the service meter itself, which is a 10-digit number in the body of the bill for PG&E customers. Then select the gas provider as well, which will in most cases again be PG&E. The exception typically would be SMUD. I'm sorry, not SMUD, but SoCal Gas, where their service territories overlap. And then again, enter a service ID for that meter and click Save and Continue. This will bring you to the application screen. Actually, what will happen is you'll get that list that you saw a few shots back where you have an added building here. Next building up on the title bar, you select application, however, and that'll get you to the next screen, which is add an application. And you select the button. Then you want to associate that application with a building you've added already. So you go to the search button and you enter a name of either the piece of information from the address or the name you gave the building or the zip code, and it'll bring up a list of search hits. And you select one of them, and it'll link that application that you're starting to a building you've added previously. You would then assign a rebate recipient. So if you know, in most cases it'll be the ratepayer, the person with who gets the account, who gets the bill from utility. But in some cases it'll be someone besides the ratepayer. So a non-account holder, as we alluded to before, it could be a property owner, a building developer, someone who is paying for the upgrades but has an arrangement already with the account holder to have the rebate assigned to them, and you would fill out a form you can download from builditgreenutility.org and submit it with the project in order to have the rebate assigned to the correct payee. The next section, moving down that page when you're filling out an application, is selecting a base measure. So again, you must select at least one base measure. When you select one in those three subsections, because there are more than one choice within that type of base measure, it will populate selected points in addition to what the list shows is the points value available for that measure. Once you've selected those points, if for some reason you made a mistake, you can select the X that shows up to the left of available points in order to erase that selection and select the other within that subsection. The next step would be selecting a flex measure, and that consists of insulation as well as air conditioner or furnace. You'd set the quantity of those appliances that you're replacing, and it will add up within the right-hand column of selected points as you go. You also can select a water heater, for instance, and there's a button there for doing so that populates this grade field down below and gives you your quantity. You can hit it more than once to add more than one water heater. If you need to remove it for any reason, you select the X to the right of the quantity there in that grade box. As you go, it adds up below that list in the points section at the bottom. It'll subtotal all the points for the measures themselves. It will automatically add the bonus points as you select additional base measures. And then we'll give you a points total. And that points total will correspond to the estimated incentive total, which hits a maximum of, again, of 2,500. So for instance, if you exceeded 250 points, if you anywhere above it, in fact, say you got 300, you still get 2,500 as your estimated incentive total because that is the program maximum. Now, if you exceed your 250 points total, you might want to take a look at possibly putting the job through the advanced home upgrade pathway, provided that you did do a test in and test out with both blower door and duct blaster, because it would, in theory, qualify for it, and your homeowner, your customer, might be entitled to a larger rebate if that is the case. Down below the points total, you would then, an incentive estimated total, you would then attach required documents. In the lion's share of the cases, it will be a test in and test out CAS measurements form and a CAS test acknowledgement form that the homeowner signs, just attesting to the fact that a combustion plant safety test was performed at test out. And then if, for instance, they were also required for that scope of work to have a building permit, you would upload a copy of that. And if up at the top of that choose file list for attachments, if they're required, or if the homeowner had the rebate reassigned with that arrangement we've discussed or that I've mentioned, by signing the form that they both signed to reassign the rebate to the non-account holder, then they would upload their copy of that at those that attachment spot as well. That you as the contractor would do that, of course. And then you click the submit button when everything's ready to go, and it would get you back to a list that you are going to start to build of applications ready for review. As soon as you click the submit button, it gets scheduled to review. We get it scheduled and reviewed within 2 to 3 business days, and you get an email back from Build It Green that either requests additional information or clarification on something if something on the application wasn't clear or it was incorrect or appeared to be incorrect. If everything looked good, or if you had to resubmit because you needed to provide some additional information, you would get an email back saying that the rebate's been approved, and then it would go into, as this screen suggests, the field quality assurance department. They would sample it to see if the job needed to be sampled for field verification. If it didn't, it would go on to rebate approval, and you would inform your customer that the rebate was underway and headed their way by mail shortly. If it got sampled, it would get a field verification visit. They would call the client, the customer, and set up an appointment to have their home verified in field quality assurance. And if it passes, then it would move on to rebate approval. If not, you as a contractor would be contacted to correct any outstanding issues that are of especially a combustion appliance safety nature. But if, for instance, something was on the list as having been installed and wasn't installed, then that would generate also a call to the contractor. Pretty straightforward, though. The other possibility is that the PG&E field verification unit, the CIP unit, can also select through their sampling protocol a job for field verification as well. So there is still a possibility that a homeowner might get 2 visits for field verification. It's somewhat unlikely. It's usually just one or the other, and in some cases they'll go straight to rebate if they're one of the lucky few that didn't get sampled. Although one could consider them lucky for being sampled as well, because we make sure that everything is done per program rules and that everything's safe at test out. With that, we'll open up to questions and comments and give you some information on contact info and next steps. Here is the builditgreenutility.org website, the program portal for PG&E home upgrade programs. Recorded webinars, documents for download, policies and training dates are also available on that website. And again, stay tuned for more details by email. We'll send out email blasts as new program requirements and or opportunities present themselves. You also get, we'll have updates to the participant handbook and other program documents, and additional information will be forthcoming from BayREN about the home upgrade program within the 9 Bay Area counties. Here is a list of contact emails for various departments and the program participant hotline. And I'll leave that up and open it up to questions that came in.
Great, thanks, Torsten. So the first question that I'd like to review is regarding testing on test out. Still trying to understand the necessity for a duct blaster test on test out if there's nothing in the work scope to do with ducts. Can you review the testing requirements for home upgrade?
That's absolutely correct with the home upgrade pathway. For advanced home upgrade, it is still required to do a full whole house assessment, regardless of whether you end up performing that measure with the homeowner's approval for the signed contract, final iteration, actual installation. So for advanced home upgrade, it is still required to perform both duct blaster and blower door, in addition to the combustion appliance safety. But for home upgrade, you have the option of running it through this somewhat streamlined process. You are not required to do a blower door if you're doing only duct sealing as a base measure. And you're not required to do a duct blaster if you're doing only whole house air sealing or attic plane air sealing with insulation as either of those base measures.
Great, thank you. We did have a question regarding the 9 Bay Area counties managed by the Bay Area Regional Energy Networks. What are the 9 Bay Area counties? And I can go ahead and list them off. The 9 Bay Area counties in Bay Ren territory are Alameda, Contra Costa, Marin, Napa, San Francisco, San Mateo, Santa Clara, Solano, and Sonoma counties. The next question is, how do you respond to questions about conflict of interest with contractors doing testing and also performing the work?
Well, I'm not quite sure what the question's asking. So the testing, as long as they're BPI certified or have a BPI certified individual, they can perform the combustion appliance safety testing. They're really in the house to perform the measures that the homeowner asked them to, and it's a rebate program, so they're not doing HERS verifications here. So not sure what the question's asking exactly.
Okay.
But if you want to submit the question, we can take a look at that and continue the conversation offline.
Yeah, and then just to reiterate what Torsten stated, even for our advanced program throughout the life of the rebate program, we have always allowed contractors to complete the assessment, which includes cast testing and blower door and duct blaster testing, and do the work. You can contact us at the phone number listed on the screen if you have additional questions.
Yeah, and I would also add that really the field verification portion of the program is designed to hold everyone's feet to the fire as far as doing what they say they're supposed to be doing, and that's what that part of the program is for. We go and verify that contractors are indeed doing what they say they're going to do in the field.
Great, thank you. We do have a question regarding the slides in the recording, so we will have the slides available for viewing after the webinar, and everybody on the line will receive a link to the slides as well as a link to a recording to the presentation. In a follow-up email we'll send most likely Thursday end of day. We do have a request to go back and show the base measure chart. Can you go back to the slide that shows the base measures? And would you mind just going through those quickly for people that came in late?
Okay, so the base measures include 3 different types of base measure, but within those types you would have 2 different choices with the exception of the last one. So I'll start with the last one, attic insulation and air sealing. So the requirement there is that you not only add insulation as long as it's less than the level that is the threshold for rebate in the program. If you add up to that level that qualifies and or go beyond, then you get the points. But in addition to that air sealing, attic insulation, you want to air seal the attic plane. So any accessible attic plane air sealing that can be done needs to be done. Ideally, the situation is really one where either there's no insulation at all, it's R0, and it's something from the 20s or 30s or pre-war, and even post-war in some cases, but has no insulation, and you get to seal the attic plane and add insulation easy. If in many cases you'll have a situation where there's poorly installed insulation or insulation that is degraded over time and you have rodent droppings and so on and so forth. You want to vacuum all that out, get it out of there, seal the attic plane, and then seal on top of it. But technically speaking, you can add insulation to existing. You just want to still be able to access all available attic plane and get it sealed. You have to do a blower door to confirm that there was some improvement, but beyond that, you're good to go. Typically, in situations where you have bad insulation, that's something you can do. You can move it aside. Still doable. Ideally, though, you take out poorly installed blow-in insulation by vacuuming it out, and then replace it. Get it air sealed, then replace it with good insulation. So, as far as the other measures on the list, there's whole building air sealing, which means air sealing as much of the building as is accessible and/or possible. And then you would perform a blower door test to verify that you achieved a certain level of leakage results. So, getting it down to a reduction of 15% leakage over SLA 4.9 gets you 15 points. Getting down to a 30% reduction over SLA 4.9 gets you 30 points. And then the other type of base measure is duct sealing, but it comes in two forms. So duct sealing as sealing existing gets you 15 points at reduced. You got to seal down to 6% or less, but many of you are familiar with that requirement already. That gets you 25 points. So there's taking into consideration the broader impact of replacing a whole system and making a better leakage result. And then also keep in mind that with the duct sealing and/or replacement, you need to do a duct blaster in order to verify those results. That's how you find out whether you made your 10% or 6% or less in both categories.
Great, thank you, Torsten. The next question is, a lot of people already have attic insulation but need air sealing. Will it count if they air seal for both? We may need additional information for that.
Yeah, I think you'd probably want to contact Build It Green in advance if you encounter a situation that you're not quite sure on how to proceed with, so we can make sure that you would be eligible or not. Maybe it's a situation where you might take advantage of the Advanced Home Upgrade Program instead because of circumstances on site. There are those cases out there. We're talking about the entire existing residential building stock of the state of California, which is about as diverse as it gets. So I know many of you have seen it all, as have we. So just give us a call in advance of submitting the job if you have any questions along those lines.
Thank you, Torsten. The next question has to do with HVAC replacement. Does AC have to be replaced, or can it be a new install?
Not sure what the question is. It sounds like that maybe the terminology being used. It seems like we're talking about a new unit anyway.
Could it be that they're talking about non-existing systems in a home and installing?
Oh, a new install. No, under the program, you're supposed to be replacing one unit with another unit, so an older unit with a newer unit. But I will follow up with you on that one. We'll take note of that, and we will send out a clarification on it if it's different than what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'll write down his contact information so we can follow up. The next question is regarding the service IDs. Is the service ID on the meter as well?
Whether you see a tag on the meter that has a service ID on it, that I can't answer. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't remember having seen one on a service meter. They are in the body of the bill for the customer. So you just want to get a copy of the bill from the customer or have the customer read them off to you as you are standing there, ideally. In some cases, we can help you find them, but we encourage you to get that done up front because it'll save time on processing your job for rebate application.
Yeah, we do need the service IDs to submit the application to PG&E for rebate processing. The service IDs are unique 10-digit numbers, and I don't think they would be on the meter because in situations where tenants move out a lot, the meter is never replaced. The service ID, though, is updated.
There'll be a new service ID for that meter based on a new account holder.
That's right.
So that you would never see those. There would be too much labor, I think, involved in replacing stickers all the time.
I think so as well. I just wanted to restate that the PowerPoint and the link to the recording will be available after the presentation in a follow-up email anticipated to go out on Thursday. The next question is the 2 to 3 business day turnaround time for applications the anticipated goal, or is it current standard practice?
That's what we strive for, and in some rare cases it may take a little longer, and oftentimes it takes less time. But with the home upgrade rebate processing program design, we expect to be able to turn that around reasonably quickly, and shouldn't exceed that in most cases, because these applications are a little bit streamlined relative to the advanced home upgrade applications.
Great, thank you. The next question I think has to do with multiple participations by a homeowner. I'll read it, but we may need to follow up after. Can a homeowner that has done the home upgrade later participate in advanced home upgrade and implement a total group of measures that qualify for the advanced path? In other words, can the home upgrade plus other measures in the future equal an advanced package?
It would be a separate rebate application, and the caveat would just be that the measures selected and modeled in Energy Pro, for example, for the later advanced home upgrade project would not be a double dipping situation. You can't claim the same rebate a combination of measures for rebate for that later rebate. So if you did attic insulation and air sealing and a combination of wall insulation and HVAC or AC for the home upgrade, and then you later did an advanced home upgrade project, it would need to not include those specific measures, so that the Energy Pro modeling would then need to be based on like the water heater and the furnace and floor insulation, for example. So they just need to be different measures.
Yeah, and just to summarize, so a homeowner could participate in the basic home upgrade, and then later participate in the advanced home upgrade, the condition being that the work scopes would need to be different. Heat pump water heaters are not included in the home upgrade program.
It's a good question, and I think it's one of those things that we look forward to in the near future to having available as a selection within the flex measures portion of the list. They're already working on that, as I understand, and just stay tuned for when that actually becomes available. They I think need to still get the calculations for that average across state and various building types.
Yeah, that is a very good question. So because this program is statewide, a lot of entities like PG&E and SoCalGas and other utility companies around California have to agree on the measures as well as the associated points. But we do anticipate measures like heat pumps and pool pumps
and heat pump water heaters.
Right, to be included as part of the program later on.
But one caveat to the heat pump water heaters, I believe, is that may be eligible for a single rebate, an individual appliance rebate at the moment. But I would caution you, I'm not positive of that. So you want to check. I believe it's pgne.com/rebates for the latest rebate information.
Yeah, PG&E may have a single measure rebate for a heat pump water heater.
Right.
PG&E's website is pge.com. Select rebates, and then select the heat pump in the middle.
It would just be a separate application at this point, but somewhere in the very near future, we expect to be able to, within your portal login, be able to add on single individual, equipment rebate measures to your application. They won't contribute necessarily to the points value for the home upgrade package that you're selecting, but within the user interface, you'll be able to move to a new screen and add on single appliance or equipment rebates to your rebate processing and get those moved through in one event, as opposed to having to manually submit these different applications to different places.
Good. We do have a few people saying that the line, the audio line keeps cutting out, so we are investigating it, and I'm checking the microphones just in case. If you continue to have problems, let us know. But I'll move on to the next question. I have a project which may qualify for rebates under the Home Upgrade Program, but it's going to start before July 1st. Can I submit this project before then? Can you reiterate some of the participation for contractors in Home Upgrade Program?
Yeah, so prior to July 1st, we're just looking to have contractors contact us for login information if they have things ready to go, and so that we can establish a dialogue and have feedback on their use of the portal and everything going on in the document submission, so you sort of iron out the wrinkles and make little tweaks and last-minute improvements to the user interface and the process flow in dialogue with those contractors that are ready to go right now. So just, after the webinar, send us an email and request that you're interested in possibly submitting a job right away or within the next few days or a week or whatever, and we'll get you set up and participating, get your login information.
Thank you. The next question is, are permits required for air sealing and or insulation installs?
Permits required?
Mm-hmm. Are permits required? They may need to contact them.
You would want to contact the local code enforcement department because while it's, for that specific single item, it's not often the case that a permit's required. There are exceptions to that rule. I mean, off the top of my head, I can think of San Francisco pretty much wants a building permit for everything. So don't make any assumptions. Contact the local building department and find out so you're doing the right thing. Again, that's in the Bayren territory, but if you're doing an advanced job, you're still submitting projects to us, so that still applies, of course. It applies statewide. Whatever the local jurisdiction is, make sure you check with them on the work scope that you're planning with your customer in order to make sure you have pulled the right permits for that project.
Thank you, Thorsten. The next question is, are contractors able to charge administrative fees for processing the applications?
I think that's something you need to decide on your own, as a business person. So while it would not be a direct, something that is directly sanctioned by the program, I would say it's something that you need to determine as part of your price structure whether the work you do under the program would warrant that sort of thing. If you can compete on that level with that, then that's sort of out of our jurisdiction as far as requirements go. So yeah, I think that's something you need to determine on your own.
Thanks, Thorsten. So we do have a couple of more questions submitted that we will be going through in the order that they were submitted. There were a few people that mentioned that the audio line kept cutting out. If you could just give me feedback to see if it's gotten any better, I would appreciate it, just to make sure that you guys can hear us okay. I'll continue with questions. The next one is, I think, regarding the having an auditor do the audit instead of a contractor. The question or the statement is, clients have mentioned not feeling comfortable about a contractor who is doing the testing and also doing the upgrade work and then testing their own work. I think in this case, contractors may have the opportunity to partner with a rater that has been approved for the advanced home upgrade. Thorsten, do you have other suggestions?
That's right. So program participants that are enrolled as participating raters within the program can be partnered up with, or they can develop their own leads for projects and handle document submission. They must then, of course, for installation, partner with a contractor so that there is a signed contract and the installation is done by a licensed contractor. But participating raters enrolled in the and approved in the program can pair with contractors for any project, and they are they're also grandfathered in. They were eligible upon an approved enrollment to participate in both basic package and advanced package under Whole House Rebate Program, and as such, they are grandfathered in to participate within home upgrade and advanced home upgrade within these new rebate pathways. And it's a sound decision. Even with the smaller scope of work, it still helps with those cases where the homeowner might not be comfortable with contractor performing both things, but that's not every customer. So there are a variety of cases out there for both potential job configurations.
Thank you, Torsten. The next question has to do with measuring duct leakage. Is duct leakage going to be measured as leakage to the outdoors or total leakage reduction?
So for advanced home upgrade, it is still required to use duct leakage to outside as the way to obtain the leakage measurement. But that is, in concert with the requirement for being required to perform both blower door and duct blaster assessments, diagnostic assessments for both test in and test out for all advanced home upgrade projects. For home upgrade, you're only required to use either a duct blaster or a blower door test for the base measure you selected as we discussed earlier. And as such, we're not requiring that duct leakage to outside is employed for measuring duct leakage. You can use total duct leakage because you're not required to essentially carry both pieces of equipment for every test in and test out event.
Thank you.
But again, combustion appliance safety, I want to emphasize, is required at all test in and test out events, without exception.
Okay. This next question refers to the test in and test out requirements. Leakage reduction is based on vintage table default. Does this mean there is no test in requirement?
No. No, you still need to determine that what the existing leakage was, and yes, you're basing it on the improvement on test out, but we want to see test in data so we have some comparison of, especially with existing systems, what verifying why it was selected as a measure, for instance. So it is currently the requirement that if you are planning on performing duct sealing, that you test in and test out with a duct blaster and obtain that leakage measurement for your combustion appliance safety test measurements forms.
Yeah, and just to reiterate some of the job submission requirements, although the requirement is to submit one application at the end once all the work is done, you will still be required to submit a test measurements form with test-in data, so your test-in blower door and or duct blaster test results in addition to CAS testing results, and then submit the same form with test-out data all at one time.
And to follow up, so I think the question was specifically addressing, because they mentioned SLA, they were addressing building leakage. So again, the case is that you want to show some improvement in building leakage, so you must perform a test in, get that value. It is in comparison to SLA really for the test out. At test in, you're establishing what leakage was, making sure you're making an improvement, helps you make that improvement. You might need to continue to perform blower door tests in order to make sure you achieved 30% or 15% or whatever your target is. So yeah, you got to do test in and test out blower door in addition to test in and test out duct blaster if they are relevant for the base measure you selected.
Thank you. We are closing on the last few questions submitted. So if you're still on the line and have remaining questions, feel free to use the question box on the GoToWebinar panel and submit your questions. It looks like we may be on track to ending a few minutes early. I'll proceed with the next submitted question. Is there a minimum installation R-value requirement, or does a home have to have less than R11 existing?
So I think I sort of breezed through that earlier. The current requirement is just that some improvement is, so the test-in circumstance isn't already R30 for that climate zone if the requirement is R30 or better. So as long as it's less than R30 for climate zones 2 through 5 in our service territory, PG&E service territory, or it's less than R38 in climate zones 1 and or 11 through 16, then you're fine. You just, as long as you're replacing it with something that meets R30 or R38 based on the climate zone that correlates to that project, then you're good. So as long as it's less than those two things at test in and it's that or more at test out, it's fine. But we encourage you to, again, replace whatever was there before, because it's difficult to air seal the attic plane if you, especially with blow-in, if you haven't removed existing.
Thanks, Torsten. The next question is, what are or where do we find the vintage table defaults for air sealing?
They're in the Energy Pro manual as well as CEC documentation. I believe it's the Res ACM manual off the top of my head. I can't remember the name of the table or the number of the table, but it's in there. Default assumptions for building vintages. And if anyone is interested, they can send us an email and we'll send you the link to the document. It's, across the board, it is 4.9 SLA for all vintages of home within California currently. So it's pretty simple. I mean, you actually don't need to look that one up because it's the same for all home vintages in California. It's 4.9 SLA. So the comparison, that can be converted to a CFM 50 and vice versa. So your blower door figure can be converted and you can make that comparison. We'll make that comparison to make sure that measure achieved 15% or 30% or better leakage reduction.
Great. The next question is, in order to obtain points for attic insulation, do all the ducts need to be insulated, including concealed or inaccessible ducts?
So if it's existing, you got to try to seal as much as you can, whatever is accessible within reason. We're not going to make you tear apart walls to go find something, but you still, in order to claim that measure, credit for that measure, you need to hit the leakage target as well. So if there's an existing system, it's got to be no more than 10% leakage. So continue air sealing until you can get there, or duct sealing until you can get there. And if not, then you might want to select a different base measure in order to form your package. Those opportunities exist, and in most cases it shouldn't be too much extra trouble. But this is the kind of thing you want to try and identify in your initial walkthrough in the house, whether you think you're going to be able to meet that target based on the configuration of the system or not. Takes a good home walkthrough in order to identify those things. But I would encourage contractors to do that so that they can manage expectations with the client and with what their interaction with the review process is as well.
Thank you, Torsten. We do have a few more questions before we end the webinar. It looks like we may end early. So to those still on the line, please submit your questions and we'll go through them. The next one is, can you please discuss the HERS BPC eligibility for testing, submitting, and rating within the home upgrade program?
HERS building performance contractors are absolutely more than welcome to participate. We encourage them to. They have a special determination made by the CEC to allow them to perform HERS ratings in addition to installations on a project. So, but I would encourage people to investigate that more with CalCerts. Go check out their website, find out exactly what it entails. There's more information available there. The way they would participate in the program is quite simple, really. They typically get enrolled as a participating contractor, and whatever CEC-based services they perform are on between them and their customer. We don't require that they submit a HERS rating to us, but they do have to perform as a building performance as a participant within the program as a participating contractor. The combustion appliance safety, test in and test out, and the diagnostic testing for submitting a job. And it's as simple as that. Any other services they choose to offer to the customer are between them and the customer. It's not a requirement as part of the rebate program goes.
Thank you. The last question that we have submitted before we end the webinar is, are there any data collection forms available in PDF format?
Say that again?
The question is, are there any data collection forms available in PDF format?
Yeah, so if you go to builditgreenutility.org and select the button that says Resources, you'll get a pick list, a drop-down menu, and the top selection of those three is the document library. And on the document library, you have a list of available PDF downloads. And then towards the bottom, I believe, you'll have job submission resources, and one of them is for single-family homes, and for 2 to 4, there's 2 different test measurements CAS forms that you can download. So for 2 to 4 unit projects, which is not, again, part of the home upgrade pathway, but is part of advanced home upgrade, you can download that. It just has multiple pages for each unit within that project. And then for the single-family, the test measurements form is just 1 page, PDF, fillable, electronic, and you submit the electronic file. We don't want scanned, handwritten versions because it's sometimes hard to read people's handwriting. So please fill out the electronic PDF version, save it, give it a name, save it, and upload that as the submittal for the project.
Great, thank you. So that was the final question submitted for this home upgrade webinar. Torsten and I will remain on the line for another minute or two, and then if other questions are submitted, we will take those in the order that they are received. So to those on the line, if you have additional questions, please take a moment now to type them in the questions box in the GoToWebinar panel, and we'll answer them shortly. Thank you for those that are remaining on the line. We have no additional questions submitted. If you have additional questions, please contact us by phone or by email. Our contact information is on the line. Thank you to all that participated. Please expect a follow-up email with a link to the slide deck as well as a link to the recording. You should receive that before the end of the week. My name is Melina Corona. I work for Build It Green. I was joined today by Torsten Glidden, and we appreciate your attendance. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time, everybody.